I always, respect of my manager.
Yeah.
And I think he disrespect me a little bit at that time. He doesn't play, but he's more happy than me maybe sometimes. And I was saying like, what is the key? And I see Carlo talking to them like as a friend, My faith obviously helped me a lot. And I always believe like everything happened is meant to be.
You played Barcelona and they had Iniesta, Busquets, Messi, Suarez, Neymar all on the pitch against you. And you played 90 minutes.
It was crazy. I nearly fight with Neymar. After a game, a home game, we had a big argument between me and him. I was not happy and I tell him the truth because I'm very honest. I tell him the truth and he didn't like it.
Welcome. First time on a podcast, and thank you very much for choosing us. We are obviously very appreciative, and what a timing for you to do it. You've scored fastest Premier League home goal in history, and it's going very, very well for the Toffees at the moment. And just explain football recently for you. How have you been doing?
Yeah, it's been great to be honest. So obviously since David Moyes came, the results start to change, and of course we're very happy. Myself personally as well. After that goal, I'm buzzing still. It was crazy. I received so much messages. Sorry, and I'm very happy. And the form is good, so we want to keep carry on.
So we're just gonna start right from the beginning and talk about how you, as a footballer, you've almost played 10 years in the Premier League, but we're going to throw it all the way back to your childhood.
Yeah.
What was your earliest memory of football? Like, you got into football, and me and Umir often speak about how challenging it is. It's an elite level sport, and I think less than 0.1% of people make it.
Yeah.
What can you give us any insight at all into how you got there? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, I mean, I started down the streets near to my house in Paris. And I was just playing with friends, down the street, and we were playing until sunset and coming back home after that. And I started football like around 9-10 years old, quite late to be honest. Because I was playing down the street, and my mum didn't want me to go to a proper football club because she was saying, they were the road across, it's too dangerous, so stay down.
All the parents are always very
protected, And a lot of people come to my house saying, no, your son is very good, you should put him in a good club, he can be a professional. And at the end, she accepted. And I just played, I think, 2 years in my hometown, Les Mureaux. And then I started playing in academy in Rennes. And then everything starts from there.
Yeah, I just want to touch a little bit upon that because I've read a lot about they almost call it like the concrete pitches, you're playing on industry, and especially like for the districts around Paris, a lot of the players you see now all came from that kind of era. What do you think it is about playing on the sort of concrete with older players as a young person that develops your skill? Because now we're seeing a lot of people play in academies from 5, 6, 7 years old, and it's quite strict, tactical. When your experience was completely different. How do you see that?
Yeah, it was very nice to be honest. We had a lot of freedom, obviously, playing down the street, in the concrete, like you said. It's been great because I was playing with older people than me, and it just teach me to be tough. You know what I mean? And luckily, I was like one of the best, and so like all the old people saying, "Oh, you need to play with us." So it just teach me how to play, and the freedom was there. I remember we were building our proper goals, down the pitch. So it was a great experience, and I have a lot of great memories. And it teach me how to play with freedom and just to be tough. And because obviously football is a ruthless, environment. Is not a lot of people can make it, and since I'm 12, 13 years old, I always want to be a footballer.
Yeah, you spoke about Rennes in the answer before, and I just want to ask you, it's a very prestigious academy. The players that have come from there is absolutely brilliant. And I just wanted to ask you, when in that academy, how would you say, in your experience, how is that academy different to what you've seen as a professional footballer? Like, you've obviously overseen younger players coming through, and was there much tactical information coming to you when you were coming through, or was it more improvisation and technical?
Yeah, I mean, Stade Rennais was I think the first academy in France. It was the number one, so I was very lucky to be there. They produce so much great players. And at the time, it was very hard to go into it. But when I started there, I was very happy. Obviously, came out of my house. It was a little bit difficult at the beginning, but I made good friends there. And the tactical point of view was different because you were more strict. You had like managers explaining how to play football more, because I was more like, playing with freedom. But obviously when you start academy, you need to have you have to have a roots to where to go to. And it was brilliant for me.
So I think the idea of tactics is always something that we obviously speak about on here. Do you think it's introduced probably too early nowadays? Where do you stand on that debate? I think, yeah.
To be honest, there is a lot of tactic now. Obviously, a lot of people talk about Pep Guardiola, like, killing football in a way.
Yeah.
Because obviously any team want to play like this, want to control the ball. And to be honest, my football was always like a free football. Obviously, tactic is very important because you can see some difference during games. And but obviously now it starts very early, so I'm not very, very a big fan of that, to be honest, because I think we should let especially the young players, obviously, just explain themselves. You need to let them enjoy. But now, obviously, it's become very, very tactical, and everyone want to play this kind of football, and that's not very great for the future, to be honest.
Thank you for watching the Overlap Breakdown. If you're out and about and prefer to listen, you can do so on all major podcast streaming platforms. Just use the Podfollow link in our description or search for the Overlap Breakdown.
We did some digging in the archives and we found a game for the under-17s for France where you were playing with Paul Pogba in midfield against England.
Yeah.
And I think they lost 2-1.
Yeah, we
lost 2-1.
Yeah.
But the names is really interesting.
But the names in that game were interesting. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, of course I remember that game because I make one assist for Paul. That game, I remember. I remember some English players. There was Shaloba, there was Conor Wickham, Conor Cody. There's a couple of players I remember that day, but I remember that game. It was fun and nice.
So moving on into, obviously, when you come in for Stade Rennes, you got an injury, and we want to touch on kind of what you've done, because since that injury, you have had, touch wood, like a very, very injury-free career. And I want to talk to you about mental toughness for one, what you do to aid that, and how you stay so conditioned and so injury-free.
Yeah, I had two big injury. I had two ACL ligament cruciate. So obviously at that time it was very hard because, as a young player, when you start your career, you don't want to have this kind of injury. I had one at the beginning of my career, and then I have another one 2 years later. So now it's almost more than 10 years. And after that, obviously, I didn't have so much injuries. Obviously, injury is very, prevention injury is very important for me.
Yeah.
Recently, I met one guy. His name is Amar Sawaf. And he helped me a lot about my injuries. Every time I had some pain on things like that, I go and see him. And he explained to me the difference between chronic pain and sport injury. So this was very I was very surprised because as a player, we treat the injury just as the way he is. But him, with the treatment I had with him, is very different. He treated the chronic pain. And I asked him, what is the chronic pain? He was saying, you had like some back. Your back is not very good. And I said to him, okay, let's do it. And since I had this treatment with him, I feel very, very good. I'm free injury. And I just want to carry on that.
Yeah, I just want to touch upon that a little bit because I think this idea of sort of chronic pain versus injury treatment is something that I've not necessarily heard before.
Yeah.
And obviously you've had a very positive experience around that.
Yeah.
Do you think that more players are beginning to understand the idea of chronic pain?
Yeah, at the beginning I never really heard of that. Especially I know as a footballer we treat only sport injuries, but in a normal life people have so much back pain, so much hip pains, they can't walk. And Amma explained that to me, and he started to treat my lower back for my hamstring injuries. And I was saying to him, why do you treat my lower back? And
why?
He was saying, this is for your hamstring to, the nerve go into the hamstring and everything. And he started training my back, and I feel my hamstring were more flexible, more relaxed. And since that, I didn't have any problem.
You mentioned obviously the hamstring injury. I think, we've spoken before about sort of your adductor injuries as well. And you know, thankfully, like H mentioned, you've not had any sort of big injuries after those ligament injuries. But I think sometimes the sort of small niggly injuries can really affect a player's career.
Yeah, definitely. Injury, of course, is part of football. Of course, sometimes you can do nothing about it. You just have to deal with it. But I think it's important. Like, I'm very happy to have met Ammar because obviously he explained to me the difference between chronic pain and sport injury. And as a player, you need to understand more this kind of pain, because sometimes when you get injured, you have pain, but you don't know how to deal with it. You're just gonna do like a rehabilitation. This is not Ammar specialty, but the pain, I think, is very important, and you have to understand more this topic.
Do you think there's like a mentality aspect to recovering from injuries?
Yeah, mortality is, I think, is I would say 80% of the recovery, because you have to be ready mentally. I remember when I torn my cruciate ligament, you know, my mental like make the difference. Otherwise, I won't be playing still in the Premier League, still hitting these numbers. And I'm very grateful, first of all, to God to give me that ability. Alhamdulillah, to be honest, because, you know, even in the clubs, they said, like, with you through ECL, we don't know how much you run and everything. And I'm just grateful because, you know, I know many people have these injuries. They can't even play football anymore. And alhamdulillah, I'm playing for more than 10 years with these injuries. Yeah, I'm very happy.
Just a last point on injuries. I think we'll talk about it when we move on to talk about the tactical aspect of things and how the league's changed and things. But, you know, obviously religion's a point that's provided that mental strength. For any other young players who, for example, are going through those, you know, tough periods of having an injury, what would your advice be? Where can they sort of get that mental strength? Was there anything that you did in particular?
Yeah, my faith obviously helped me a lot. And I always believe like everything happening is meant to be, and it's always a good thing behind that, you know. And obviously for the youngsters, I think they need to be prepared mentally. I think obviously mental health is very important, especially when you're young, when you had injury, when you had I don't know, you're not playing, or you're not being selected by a manager or whatever. I think they need to be surrounded by good people who spoke to them and support them. Because depression is there as well as a footballer, you know, we see many examples. And me, I was very lucky to have good people around me, always reflect to me like the good things, even in the bad moments, just always remember your good side of it. And yeah, it's just to stay strong on that.
And was there anybody in particular? You mentioned the good people in the bad moments.
Yeah.
Was there anybody in particular?
I have my family, obviously. My family helped me a lot. I have my agent as well. He's around me as well. A couple of friends, obviously, they tell me the truth. I have like true friends. Like you said, I don't have fake friends. Alhamdulillah.
It's hard in football, I think.
It's very hard to get that. And I'm very lucky. I have very honest people around me to always tell me the truth. And because obviously we're not perfect, so it's good to have people who tell you the truth, and to come back in the good way. And I had that along my career, so I'm very grateful from them.
Well, moving on to your move to the Premier League, and obviously you went to Watford, but before you were playing consistently at Watford in the Premier League, you went to Granada. And this, honestly, when I was researching about this, it's crazy the teams that were in that league when you were playing
at that time.
And at that time.
Yeah.
So your last game at Granada on loan, you played Barcelona, and they had Iniesta, Busquets, Messi, Suarez, Neymar all on the pitch against you. And you played 90 minutes.
It was crazy.
And I just honestly,
I want to really get into the details of this game. Yeah.
We were speaking, how do you even comprehend playing in them games?
Yeah, I mean, I sent for Granada for 6 months, and I never been like playing in Spain. I have one of my good friends who was playing for Granada. Actually, I grew up with him in academy in Rennes, so he was my best friend. So obviously we ended up together in Granada. So he said to me like, "Come, you're gonna enjoy." And that game it was just crazy. I nearly fight with Neymar to be because you know how he is, and. But yeah, it was just crazy to play against Messi, Iniesta, Busquets, Rakitic. I remember speaking to Iniesta. He was so humble, and I think at that time in Granada we were safe.
You just said that.
Yeah, so this was more like, I think for me it was my farewell game because I knew I was going to come back to Watford. But Yeah, I just enjoy it, to be honest. I just enjoy playing against Barcelona, against Real Madrid, against Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a different league.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
in a game like that, obviously it's going back a long time and tactics and things have changed.
Yeah.
Do you remember the instructions?
Yeah, like
what
what
does the manager say in that situation?
No, really, to be honest, because,
kick
you know,
Neymar.
like Barcelona, you know,
Yeah.
we to be honest, we start quite well against them.
Yeah.
But obviously, when they want to score,
geniuses,
Suarez scored a hat-trick.
Yeah,
you know, like,
genius.
yeah. I think Suarez was fighting for the golden boot or whatever. I can't remember exactly, but you know, he was just a machine. You know, just a machine team. And I was just there enjoying myself. You know, my family came over to watch the game as well, so it was a great experience for us, to be honest. Yeah.
So I just want to obviously ask you, you've played in France, we've now gone to the Premier League, and then you've moved on loan to Granada. And I want to ask you the differences, and hopefully as we have more footballers on, this is something I really want to crack down, because it seems like signing from different leagues and like getting players from different leagues, it's so hard to like adjust sometimes for players. You've played in 3 of the top 5 leagues in the world. What do you think the differences is? Not just the quality, but what do you think's different in Spain, France, and England? What are the major standout differences for you?
I would say Spain and England is very similar in terms of the fans. Yeah. You know, in terms of the fan, in terms of the support, in terms of like the knowledge of football. Yeah. France is a little bit less because, you know, people are not very, very interested in football, to be honest. And this is for me the biggest difference first. And obviously in terms of the game, because like the intensity in Spain and the Premier League is very similar as well, you know. In Spain, obviously, they keep the ball a lot. You know, they like to play any team, even the bottom teams, they play from the back. In the Premier League, obviously, like the intensity, any team is so strong, you know. Yeah. The Premier League is so tough. And since I've been here, you know, each year the level just go up. You know, it just goes up, it never stops. So, you know, we see team even like Everton, like, you know, you're fighting for relegation. And because the level is so high, you know, you have to be there, you have to be demanding. And yeah, this is a major difference I noticed.
Do you think sort of players moving between the leagues would struggle moving to England? Or do you think there's certain leagues that sort of are match up? Because we've spoken in the past, for example, if you play in the Championship in England, you're probably used to the style of English football if you were to move to the Premier League. I've always said actually that I think French football and Ligue 1 is probably like a very sort of similar physical matchup to England as well. So when you get a player from there that moves to England, they probably don't have that sort of, you know, they don't need to get up to speed. It doesn't take them as long. Exactly. Are there any leagues?
I think French league is, like you said, is very physical. So any player coming from French league to the Premier League, I think he can adapt quickly. I think the difference is you have to adapt quickly as well mentally. I think this is the difference, because I see so many French players coming into the Premier League and struggle because of the culture, because of the understanding of the game. And the Premier League is so big. You know, obviously when you play in France, in Ligue 1, you, in a way, you think you're a king, like, oh, I'm playing in France, or everyone knows me. But when you came into Premier League, no one knows you. You know what I mean? Even if you play for a big team, they doesn't know you because the Premier League is so big. And I think sometimes some players struggle because of that. And I say so many of like friends when they come to Premier League, I said, like, you know, you have to be humble, you have to understand the game, you have to, you know, go into the culture, the English culture, first of all, to understand how the English people works and everything, because otherwise you're gonna struggle. But obviously the side of the game, like the physically side, they can adapt very quickly because it's very similar.
How did you adapt? Because obviously you've done it between 3 different countries. And for example, when you did move to Granada on loan, it was only 6 months, but I assume that you adapted and you acclimatized fairly quickly. I know that a lot of players will struggle with that, especially younger players as well. But what did you find that worked for you in being able to acclimatize to England in particular?
I think my mentality was always, my dream was always to come to the Premier League. And when I had the chance to come here, you know, I just said, like, you know, this is my chance, I need to give everything. And I'm very like hardworking, obviously that's helped a lot, because when you come to a club, when you're humble, when you work hard, people are going to respect you. And I always give 100% in every game, every training session. And when I moved to Spain, I did the same. You know, in 4 months, I almost speak fluently Spanish. So that's helped a lot. And I get very easy onto people, you know. And I think when you show you're humble, you want to work hard, you want to help your teammates, I think obviously people help you a lot as well. And I think that's why I adapt so well in the Premier League as well.
I think we'll probably move on to talking about some of your coaches now.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do it in order, probably.
Okay.
We're not going to go through all of them, but we picked out some names.
Yeah.
Probably the people that, you know, the audiences and the listeners would want to know the most about. And here's the one that I probably want to know the most about. I want to touch on Carlo Ancelotti. And obviously, we know the massive success that he's had for, you know, huge clubs, Real Madrid in particular. But yeah, with Ancelotti, I think I want to dive into his tactics, but I'll leave that for a little bit later on. How is he as a person? Because I think for me, the way he comes across, he seems, you know, very different to a lot of the other modern managers. He's quite, you know, he's more personable, sort of more reserved.
Laid back, but father kind of thing.
Yeah.
Father figure,
How did you?
Carlo, you know, a very good human being. To be honest, like very kind, very humble. We say that of him. He knows how to manage the human side of the, you know, of the footballer.
I'm so fascinated about that specific.
That is the because, like, for example, all the players, obviously, you all want to start. You all want to be in the starting 11. On Carlo, even the player on the bench, he was very close to them. You know, he was very close to them, speaking to them, and everyone was happy. You know, I was surprised. I said, like, this guy doesn't play, but he's more happy than me, maybe sometimes. And I was saying, like, what is the key? And I see Carlo talking to them like as a friend, you know, talking to them, saying, like, you know, I have to choose 11 players. Obviously, I leave you on the bench. I'm sorry for that, but you're gonna have your chance. And he just keep everyone going, and I was fascinated by his management. You know, I think that's why he knows how to manage big players, and that's why you have this massive success. To be honest.
What is the details like when he's talking to you? Like, obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson's probably like one of the guys who's held as like man manager. Like even Jurgen Klopp, the same. What does he do different from the other managers? Is it just the level of personable that he is with you?
I think so, yeah. I think this makes the massive difference, you know. To be honest, everyone respects him because of that. And obviously he's very good tactically. He knows football, he has a lot of experience. And I think the side how he managed people, this makes a big difference because you want to give everything. You know, I remember one day I had a game, I didn't play well at 4. And the day after, he said, "Oh, like, how do you think about the game?" I said, "Oh, no, I was not very good. I should do this and that." He said, "No, for me, you are very good. Don't worry." But I knew it was not true, you know. But he was just talking to me, saying, like, "Don't worry, you know, you're gonna start the next game. You're gonna be okay." And I think the next game I was very good because of that. And
he just brings the calm.
He brings the calm. Never shout. Very relaxed. Obviously,
how's the dressing room? Like if you're getting beat at half time, how is the dressing room?
You just calm, you know. You just calm. You're gonna analyze the game, and sometimes, of course, you're gonna shout. You know, I remember him shouting to Richarlison or things like that but he was shouting at him because he was late. You know, he was not shouting at him because he was not very good on the pitch, and he just tried to analyze, you know, everything, and he bring that calmness into the dressing room, and everyone is very. How I can say, you're very relaxed, you know, going on to games, you know, you're going to win. He said, this is going to happen. And most of the time it happens.
Because it's just like, if you're so laid back, like you're going into a huge game and your manager's just like, obviously there's a video of him like with like a cup of tea, like, how... But he still gives, like, if you watch Real Madrid, they still play at an intensity that's like up there. When you played under Carlo Ancelotti, you delivered like intensity. But with that personable, like, laid backness. How I just don't understand.
How do you get that sort of motivation?
Where you're like when Jurgen Klopp's like more like.
I mean, it's big difference because obviously, like, people want to see a manager like shouting, fighting on. But him, I think the way he's calm. The way he's treating people, I think the players, you just understand, you know, you don't need to shout, you don't need to be... Obviously, everyone have his own personality on his own management, but Carlo is very kind, very, very humble, very... I think his calmness just make the difference, to be honest. And as a player, you just buy into it. And but still, we were very motivated into games because one thing with him, he want to win. That's the main thing. He want to win games. Doesn't matter how, you want to win games. So as a player, that's what you want to do.
Perfect. I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think one thing we talk about with Ancelotti, especially in the tactics world, I don't know if this is a conversation topic that's ever, relayed to footballers. I think this would be interesting to actually talk about. But in football, I think the modern sort of tactical styles, at least in the last few years, have been very positional.
Yeah.
So like 3 defenders at the back, 2 in midfield, 5 across the last line, and you stay in your zones, you hold the ball, and then you're trying to get the ball to the areas where the players are. Under your time as a player under Ancelotti, did he play in a positional manner, or did he give you more freedom? And how did that sort of translate? What did he say, sort of play in these areas, or did he say, like, before a game, how would he set you up essentially?
Yeah, so no, Carlo, to be honest, he gave us a lot of freedom. I remember James Rodriguez was playing, he was saying to him, you can play whenever you want on the pitch, you can go right, you can go left. He was saying to me, you can be more on the right side to support James when you lose the ball but the freedom was there, to be honest. I can see now his Real Madrid team, they swap a lot between the players, and with Everton, he was the same. The freedom was there. You could play any position, you could feel the game. I think he's very sensitive about feeling the game. He's not like, oh, you have to do this, you have to stay there. Obviously, he said, if you see something you have to do, just do it. And this is make the magic of football.
And how does that translate in terms of like success over many games? Because I know sometimes, in my head, I think if you give a team sort of freedom to play, sometimes it can become too chaotic and maybe they don't do the instructions properly. Like, does he give you a sort of an idea of the game and then say, please?
Like a framework.
Yeah, does he give you like
you have a framework, to be honest. You have a structure to respect, obviously. But into the structure, you have this freedom. That's what you want us to do. You want the forward players to create chances, to shoot. People on the side to crosses a lot of balls. I remember Luka Jean was there, Dominic was in front, so a lot of crosses coming from the left side. And but obviously you have to respect the game plan. Yeah. Because for him it was very important to don't concede so many goals. So the defensive structure was very strong. And because less you concede, more you can win games. So
I want to ask you about you. So you talk about the freedom, and obviously, like watching teams now, like rondos are huge in training. Yeah. Like 5v5, small-sided games. Under Carlo, is there certain stuff that you train on to prepare that freedom? So, for example, we had Rennie Mullenstein, who's United assistant manager, and he talked about they used to coach counter-attacks. So when people say like counter-attacks, they're off the cuff. Yeah. But he goes, no, they're not. Yeah. We actually work on these. Yeah. Is the stuff that Carlo would work on that's stuff that you've never seen before that actually prepares you for that freedom in a game? Yeah,
I mean, I remember with him, it was a lot of game, like small side of game. Yeah. This was like every training you had the small games. Yeah. 5v5, 6v6. And just like, sometimes I was watching the video back on YouTube about the training, and I see like, it was so, like the training was so fun. You know what I mean? Like you were doing some shooting, some crossing, like you said, the counter-attack, you were coaching the counter-attack, because it's not like, you're going somewhere. No, you have to have a way. We're saying, you can overlap here, you can go there, this, you can, play in the back. And it was just like, teaching us how to play. And one thing with him is just like, you have to play with joy. He loved the good games. He loved the side by side, the 5v5. And I remember every training we were practicing this.
I think with Ancelotti and his sort of philosophy of, it was almost like providing joy and being like a relatable person. Yeah. As a footballer, is that sort of the best kind of style of management to play under? Yeah. Because obviously you've got that freedom and you've got that sort of joy. I think it's quite rare that we see it nowadays. Yeah. But is that sort of the style that you prefer? Yeah,
I think he was one of the best style we prefer as a player, because you just came into training ground, you're just like happy, you're gonna speak to him as a normal person. You don't have the pressure about the manager saying this or that. And I think as a player, I always appreciate this kind of management, to be honest. And I think most of the player we like that.
After Carlo Ancelotti, you played under Frank Lampard, and obviously it was a tougher time for you as a player. And I want, for people who don't know, just to kind of understand what you went through in that time and the difficulties you faced, because moving from Watford to Everton, you were a consistent, ever-present Premier League player
Well,
starting
player
every
of the
week.
season for Everton,
Yeah,
for the club, actually.
so you went from that, and then this happened. And I want you to just kind of give your side rather than me say it, because it's your story.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah, I mean, when Frank Lampard came, he came into the season. I think, the relation between me and him was great. You know, I played 6 months under him. I was touching every game. We get safe, 2 games before the end of the season. This 3-2 against Crystal Palace, and the relationship was very good. And I just didn't understand the next season what happened really, because he didn't very trust me just the season after, and I really don't understand, because since that, like, this was my worst experience with the manager, to be honest, because every manager start me, every manager trust me, even if I was sometimes not starting every game, but I was like a main player for each manager I play under. And Frank Lampard was the only one who didn't trust me a lot, and I think he made a mistake with me, to be honest, because I'm a hardworking guy, I'm a very humble person, I work hard in training. Obviously, we can make choice. I never contest the choice a manager make, but obviously sometimes you have to be fair, and I think he was not fair with me, because leaving me on the bench for so many games and don't give me really my chance. That's why just upset me with him. So
was your problem the communication?
Yeah, he didn't talk.
There wasn't like...
It was no communication between me and him. I never goes to see him to ask him any kind of, why I'm not playing, why this, why that. I was just thinking I'm a Premier League player for almost 8 years. I think I proved myself in this league. And I was just working hard in training. Obviously, the result was not very good, to be honest, And I was just waiting for my chance, and he didn't trust me. And I think he made a mistake because I just proved him wrong after that. Because after the new manager Sean Dyche came, I was the difference maker in the Everton team. And I think for him, obviously, he was a great player. He was a fantastic player. Everyone knows that. But as a manager, I think with Everton, he was a big lesson for him, and I think he learned from that.
Yeah. Do you think that's the hardest time of your career?
It was very hard because I love Everton, and because of my relationship with him, I was like pushing away. I was nearly out of the club because when playing, obviously me, I can't sit on the bench for 6 months and just saying, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna just sit on my money. And no, I need to play. I need to play football. So it was very sad for me because when you start exploring your option, going out, going to another club, I never want that. No. But alhamdulillah, my faith is very strong, and I always believe in hard work. I know work hard pays off, and at the end, I was very happy to stay, and I signed a new contract after that, so everything changed. In
football, isn't it?
Football is like,
football.
Sometimes we spoke about that in a training with the players. They said, like, imagine it's like, in 6 months, you become like, I was training with the under 21. Wow. Imagine I was training with the under 21 because I was excluded of the team. Wow. He pushed me away, and when the new manager came in, I was the main man, and I just signed a big contract with Everton after that. And so in space of 6 months, everything changed, and that's football.
How did they communicate that you were to train with the under 21s? How did that happen? So
basically, after a game, a home game, we had a big argument between me and him. Oh, wow. I was not happy, and I tell him the truth because I'm very honest. I tell him the truth, and he didn't like it. So the day after, they bring me to the club. They say to me, like, you can't stay with the team. He said he feels disrespect by me in front of the players. And they said, you need to train with the under 21 or training alone. And I said, look, I'm going to train alone because, I know how to look after myself. Yeah. Luckily, it was no long because after that, I was sacked, I think, a week after. So I just trained like alone for 2-3 days. And the week after, I was come back into the team, and we were winning against Arsenal, and I was like almost player of the match. So imagine how football is,
Yeah.
And but I never I always believe on my hard work. I always respect of my manager. Yeah. And I think he disrespect me a little bit at that time, and yeah.
How close were you to leaving?
I was very close, to be honest. I was very close. I was talking for a couple of clubs in the Premier League. Obviously, I didn't want it.
No.
But obviously, when you start training alone, no playing. The exit is very close, and I was very, very close to leaving, and it was heartbreaking for me, to be honest.
Okay, so moving on from, you're going to your resurgence now under Sean Dyche.
And you mentioned the Arsenal game as well.
I know, you mentioned the Arsenal game. We're going to speak about Sean Dyche, but I'm going to speak, obviously, about you personally playing under Sean Dyche. You made, I was speaking to you about this before we started, you have, trademark goals. Like, you score a certain type of goal, and if it's a late midfielder running into the box and they're getting on the end of things, I just look at that and I go, that's a Doucoure. Funnily enough, Frank Lampard. You can actually say.
I spoke to you. I spoke to H off air, and I said, of all of the managers, the player who profile-wise could relate to how you play the game, you would suspect it to be,
Like I said, I start well with him. I don't know what happened, because he never really explained what happened. I have my reason. He never really what happened between me and him. So maybe one day he will tell. But for me, it's not very important now. But obviously the later one, like you said, that is something I love.
Just coming back into, and obviously playing under Sean Dyche, we really like Sean Dyche. I think he's misunderstood. Misunderstood is the thing I would know. I think public eye, they always go old-fashioned, really direct, long ball football. But what is your opinion of Sean Dyche as a person and a manager and as a coach in comparison to the other managers you've worked with?
Sean, obviously, I had a very good relationship with him. I think when he came, he was just a bit of freshness for me. He was a light, it was a big light for me when he came in, because he trusts me since day one. And people just misunderstood a little bit Sean Dyche, because obviously he's old-fashioned, and he used to coach Burnley, the way they play. But with Everton, to be honest, he did a fantastic job. To be honest, without him, maybe you won't be in the Premier League. So people have to understand that, they have to respect that. And I said to him when he left, I said, people are going to be grateful for you one day. They will, because I think he came in the toughest time in the Everton period, and he just do a fantastic job, because he keep the team in the Premier League. He keep the focusing on staying in the Premier League, and he work very well, I think.
I wanted to ask you, obviously you mentioned that Sean Dyche kept Everton up, but you did as well. And I want to ask you, Everton fans, when I was researching for this video, Everton fans absolutely love you for that goal. And you kept Everton in the Premier League, and I think we're going to get onto it in a little bit about fighting relegation, the mental toughness. And we've spoke about your mental toughness from being a kid, through injury, through academy football, translating through leagues. How big of a moment in your career was that? You've got a lot of players finish football and they want that moment. Do you know, the moment you can hang up on your wall at home? You've got that
feeling that you've experienced.
Yeah, that's true. It was like I said, it was an unbelievable moment, to be honest. This season was so tough, fighting for relegation. Everton, top flight team, never relegated. So the pressure was on us, to be honest. The pressure was on us. But I don't know, I just had a good feeling, because obviously when Sean Dyche came, I scored a couple of goals. I was playing very good. I was the main man into the team, and I just feel like it has to be me. It has to be me that day.
That's the mentality.
And,
manifest it.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously that goal, it came from nowhere. Last game of the season, the pressure was, I never feel that pressure.
No.
I don't want to feel that pressure again. To be honest, you don't sleep. People don't understand how tough it was, to be honest. I didn't want to be in this team, relegated Everton. This was never in my mind. I always said, you're going to be safe, you're going to win that game. And just this goal obviously was massive for me.
How was full time?
Sorry?
How was full time?
The emotion was just over the top,
The dressing room.
Yeah, the dressing room was quite quiet after the game, because, I think we were so tired.
More relief,
the relief. When you relief, you don't celebrate that much, You were just tired of the season. We were just happy to just stay in the Premier League, to be honest, And after that, I think, months later, we just appreciate that moment a little bit more. But at that time, for me, it was just pressure. It was just relief. And
how do a manager, did you see Sean Dyche after the game?
No.
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 Because I always think as a manager, you've got to like hold it together a little bit. Because like obviously, they must win.
Yeah.
Because they like as a player, you can't get sacked. Well, you can.
Yeah.
But if he loses that game,
Yeah.
his career could go.
Yeah. Obviously, if you had lose that game, it was finished for him. Obviously, and we didn't see him too much after the game. And I remember him send me one message after the game, a couple of days after, saying like, your hard work pays off. You always be relentless. You be very serious, and we deserve that. And enjoy that moment. And he just speaking even with his assistants, they saying, Dukes, you give us 2 or 3 years contract. Obviously after that goal, you give us like a job. And I said, but you did you're part of the job as well, And to be honest, I enjoy.
One question, since we're talking about managers and sort of individual players doing big moments, I kind of want to touch upon the idea of like how important do you think a coach is to a team? I think we've had some conversations about teams struggling under certain managers and then, playing well under other managers. But oftentimes we kind of go back to the idea that sort of if you've got good players and those players are in the areas that suit them, they'll play well regardless of who the coach is. And I know obviously a coach has an important job in putting players in the right areas and making these tweaks and keeping the morale high. But how important do you think a coach is to a general squad?
Yeah, it's very important. I think the manager is the main man into a team. He's the leader. He's the guy who's going to lead the team. And I think the mood as well in the training ground, into the team is very important from him. And I always believe a manager can make a big difference just because of the way he is. And I experienced that with Carlo. I experienced that now with David Moyes. It's kind of the same. They have an amazing career, but we see them, they're very humble, they're very down to earth. And just this make the difference as a player. Just said like, this guy have just 700 games, David Moyes, and you just like, he's very chill, he's very calm, he's very humble. He came to talk to you about life, about anything else, and you just saying like, how obviously I'm gonna give everything for this man.
I know you want to move on to it, but I will just introduce it. David Moyes is obviously currently the manager. You're flying at the moment. I just want to ask you about for a fan, for like an onlooker, David Moyes has never been the flashy, tactical genius, but wherever he goes, he gets it done.
Exactly.
Like he gets it done.
And massive success.
And like massively as well. Like what he did with West Ham was brilliant. What he did with Everton the first time round, brilliant. And now obviously the impact he's had straight away. How does he do it? What is it?
I think obviously he had a good team around him. His assistant and him, they work very good together. They know each other for a long time. And but since he came in, he just changed a couple of things statically, and you can see the difference, playing from the back, just the positioning of the players. Even my position, he showed me some couple of clips where I can improve, and he make a massive difference. And that's why he was very successful.
Do you think he's underrated tactically?
I think he is, obviously, because people, I think they have this mentality like, he play long ball and he's very tough, he's very defensive coach, but tactically he's brilliant.
You played very positionally against Leicester, I thought.
Yeah.
Very, very like...
Which is complete opposite
of
Ancelotti, for example.
Of a manager like Ancelotti.
Yeah.
So he's come into the club, and already, like formation-wise, Jake O'Brien's come into the team. For centre halves playing left back, stuff like that.
Yeah.
These tweaks, these tactics, he just come in. How early does a manager recognise this? Did he just?
I think his experience just
knows.
Just knows. He just came in and he put a couple of people in place, couple of players in a position. Like myself, he put me more on the right side when we had the ball, and I found myself more close to the goals, more in the good position to score goals. And this make the big difference, because he knows you can create chances, even for myself. And I think a manager with his experience, he just recognized straight away what the team needs, and what we needed, it was just like a couple of tricks, and he worked brilliantly so far.
We've spoken in the past about getting players in their best zones on the pitch, and when all of the players can do that, that's when you get a good team performance. You mentioned obviously on that right hand side you feel more comfortable getting closer to goal and scoring. in the past, Sean Dyche has used you as almost like a second striker at times.
Yeah.
I think I read a quote from a while back where you mentioned you prefer playing deeper. What do you see as your best role? Because I think if more managers just ask players what they think their best role is, you'd get a better performance.
Result,
yeah, definitely, yeah. And with Sean Dyche, I was more as a number 10, to be honest. And it works well, I think. But obviously, toward the end, I think I was obviously teams start to know us, start to know me. And obviously, when I was too much higher on the pitch, my impact was not that great. And David Moyes recognized that I need to be more deeper, I need to touch more balls, to be more effective into the game. And it just changed massively my game so far. And to be honest, the last couple of games I enjoy so much because I was touching more the balls. I was in a good position to receive the ball as well and to score goals as well. And yeah.
So your preferred role is that box to box?
Yeah, like my box to box.
touches.
Yeah, more touches, box to box. Not very higher, not too high, not too deep.
Yeah,
just in between.
Yeah,
this is my best position, I think.
An 8.
An 8, yeah, exactly. A proper 8. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you. Obviously, David Moyes, we mentioned he's got a similar laid-back quality to Carlo.
Yeah.
Because I remember you said something similar, and you nodded straight away.
Yeah.
He's got the same likeable father figure, communicator.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about, they've been in the game for so long. What is the biggest trend in the Premier League? You've almost played a decade in the Premier League.
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference from 2016 to 2025? What do you think everyone in the Premier League is trying to do now in comparison to 10 years ago?
I think everything improved a lot. Obviously, the financial side of it help a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, they can buy the best player.
Yeah.
But since I started now, obviously the difference is any team can be, any team can beat anyone now. You know what I mean? Before it was more we knew the bottom 2 how we're gonna be, the top 4 how we're gonna be. But now you can see Aston Villa, they were in the Champions League last season. We see this season Nottingham Forest has had an amazing season. So each year the level increase, and I think more teams are ready now. And you have to be obviously you have to be more, if you want to stay in the Premier League, you have to be a top team. You have to improve in every area. You have to be good because you can't be very weak in some area and saying, oh, you're going to be okay, I have 2 or 3 players going to make the difference. I think now the starting 11 have to be very strong. And
You just mentioned starting 11 over 2 or 3 individuals.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, obviously, because you've kind of teed me up. Do you think, you mentioned before, you did the quotation marks about Pep ruining football and all this. Do you think there's less individuals than ever before in your time in the Premier League? Do you think now it's more teams and systems than it is players?
Yeah, definitely. I think back in the time, back in the days, I think, it was more about individual players. And now we can see teams, they rely more on the team, how they play. Like even Everton, to be honest, we have a couple of great individual players. But I think our main strength is the team. You don't have one player we said you're gonna make the difference every game. You need the others to shine, and I think this is very important. And we can see in any team, the collective is the most important.
I wanted to move on, obviously, into Islam, faith. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, obviously you and Umir are both devoted Muslims, and I wanted to ask you, does it have an effect on football positively or negatively? What are the biggest challenges, the biggest points about faith in football for you?
Yeah, you have a big impact for me because since I'm young, I grew up in a very religious family, and I'm very proud of that. And religion, faith was always very important into me, into my football, into my game, into my career. And because I know football, obviously, good moment came, but bad moment is more bad moment than good moment, to be honest. And my faith just get me to go through it. And this is very massive for me, very important.
I think, this is a topic I'm very passionate about. We spoke about it a little bit before, but I've written about, Islam and football. And I think it's an area that crosses over a lot more than people think. I wanted to ask you, I think obviously Ramadan's coming up soon. And with Ramadan, one, how do you prepare for it in the weeks coming up to it? I know a lot of people might ask you about the experience itself, but for me as a Muslim, I think, the few weeks before it, you kind of get excited, you go to the mosque, they talk about it more. And Yeah, like how do you prepare for it before? Is there
Yeah.
anything that changes in preparation for you as a footballer and as a
Yeah,
Muslim?
as a footballer, obviously we talk a lot with the team, with the staff, knowing like we need what we're gonna need during Ramadan, how we're gonna fast, what is the timing and everything. So we start to prepare that early. On a personal point of view, obviously I like to go to the mosque. I like to hear about the topic about Ramadan, and obviously as a Muslim, we're very excited to welcome this blessed month. And I'm just looking for it. Obviously, the football side of it, I know the game. I'm not gonna play on the. I'm gonna fast during games, and this is no problem for me. Obviously, I will be a little bit tired the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But after that, I think your body just get into it, and yeah, I'm very excited for this period.
Is it like how challenging is it?
It
Because
is.
especially when playing, we're talking about the Premier League, and like you mentioned,
I mean, yeah,
you
realistically,
mentioned
but-
before 9 seasons. You said off camera that it's only getting more competitive physically.
Yeah,
The physical side of the Premier League is at an all-time high.
yeah,
Like, but you're still doing the same thing. So like the level's getting harder to reach,
yeah,
and Ramadan is at the same level every year, and you have to up that standard every year.
yeah.
And it's like, how challenging is that?
To be honest, it's very hard. I want to be very honest. It's very hard.
It sounds it.
When you don't eat, you don't drink during all day, and playing a 90-minute Premier League football game, it's very hard.
I'm playing well.
Yeah, you try to
Yeah,
play
you're not
well.
just playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. You need to, because like as a player, as a Muslim, you don't want to find excuses. I never find this excuse
Yeah.
about fasting. This is my faith. This is something part of my life, and it's very important, of course. But obviously, I want to play every weekend. Still,
Yeah.
I'm fasting.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. It's not easy.
I remember Paul Pogba playing in the Europa League, and I think he scored 2. And it was in COVID, and he was fasting, and he got asked to do a drug test after the game.
Yeah.
And he literally stood there. He stood there. And, I can't.
I can't, of
Like,
course.
I can't do that. That's not how it works. And I just remember like how frustrating that must be.
Yeah.
Like,
You mentioned obviously some of your previous teammates, and obviously with your teammates now at Everton, you've got some Muslims there in the
Yeah.
team. How does I assume like whenever I've been in like a workplace or with colleagues or friends who are Muslims, there's that sort of brotherhood and that connection.
Yeah.
In football, I know moving from different countries, it can be a bit of a challenge. Having people understand what Islam is and that sort of thing. One, how do you feel the Premier League is accommodating to that? How do you feel like
Yeah.
they experience it? And two, has your teammates being Muslim influenced and helped that at all?
Yeah, the Premier League is very welcoming. To be honest, I said last year when they asked me about Ramadan in the Premier League, I said I think England is the best country in terms of football to do Ramadan, because they're so welcoming. When you see the referee stop the game for you to eat, and I see in France they don't do this. I see in France there is big conversation, like topic about this, and I don't understand how they can let the player just break the fast.
Yeah.
And this is just like blow my mind, to be honest.
There's been players that's across different leagues and things that haven't been selected as a result of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
I
in
remember.
France it happened a lot. I've seen even in Germany or things like that. And I don't understand that, to be honest. And the Premier League, to be honest, I'm very grateful for the Premier League to allow us to do this. And each year we see a lot of topic talking about Ramadan in the Premier League, and it's great.
yeah.
Obviously, earlier we spoke about your injury history and how you've managed that and how you've stayed on top of the pain and things like that. But with Ramadan coming up, obviously that's a time where there's more strain on the body.
Yeah.
You're eating less, you're working hard. How do you prepare, and how are you going to manage that period to ensure you're conditioned and you stay fit, ready to play all of these games?
Yeah, definitely. I think we spoke a lot with the staff, and I speak with Umir as well, the chronic pain specialist, about this. And I think this part is going to be very important, because your body is going to be very dry. You eat less. You're going to be. I need to be very careful for what I'm eating when I break my fast. And I think obviously like working with Umir as a chronic pain specialist is going to help me a lot, because he knows my body, he knows my needs. And this time I'm going to do even more prevention, because injury can be very, very easy at this period. You play high intensity game without eating, without drinking. But your body, just adapt very quickly as well. I find my body very, very good during this time. And obviously doing this session with Umir, gonna help me a lot going through Ramadan.
Lastly, wrapping up this sort of topic of Islam and faith, and I wanted to ask you a question, not directly related to football, but more so about your perception of faith in general.
Yeah.
But do you have like a particular story or a message or a teaching from your religion that is your favorite or that you carry with you in everything that you do?
Yeah, I like, to be honest, I'm very interested in studying Islamic, studies, and I read a lot of things. I listen to a lot of things as well. And personally, like, I think my career, I've been always like, very humble. I try to help people. And I think, even when I score my goals, everyone's saying, oh, we pray for you so much and we're so happy you make it, you made it. And yeah, I think as a Muslim, I think, I open a lot of people, especially during Ramadan is good because I can speak about my religion with the staff. They ask a lot of questions. Why you fasting? Why you not fasting? Why this time? And it's very interesting, to be honest. And I like to share my vision about Islam, and I think it's very important to speak about that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, and obviously, good luck.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'll see you at the Tarawih.
The mosque, definitely. Yeah.
I'm going to be watching you in the Premier League going.
Are you going to be remembering this conversation?
Yeah, I'm going to be remembering how hard it is, and I'm going to
one day I'm going to get you to fast with me.
Yeah,
and then you'll know what
it's
he
not
goes
too hard,
through.
People
no.
You had one staff. He fasted last year all the month. And he finds him very fascinated. He said, like, my body just, because it's a clean of the body as well,
And spiritually, you
and
feel
spiritually
like
you feel, exactly, you feel connected. And because people say, oh, it's too hard, I can't. I say, of course you can. You are human like me. Obviously, my face helped me to do it. And
I'll give it a
one
go.
day we'll get
I'll give it a go one day. Honestly, I will.
a couple of hours.
I'll feedback.
We'll bring him to the
I'll
mosque.
feedback.
Exactly.
I'll feedback.
You can enjoy the when you're gonna break your fast.
Honestly, one of the best.
This is the best moment ever.
I always see it
swear.
with like a massive like plates. Of
Yeah,
food, like, oh.
but then after that we have to pray. So if you eat all of that food, you feel like sleepy or praying.
You can't eat too much after.
Yeah.
You have to eat like
Bit by
Little
bit,
bit.
yeah. Discipline.
Yeah.
No, beautiful. I'll try it one day. So yeah, just moving into the final section on Quickfire Questions. Who is the best player you've played with?
The best player I play with. Ooh.
You could change it to talented if you want.
Maybe I will say Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah.
In academy in Rouen, I met him when he was very young, and I think I can. Yeah, I think he was the most talented player I ever seen. I will say Paul Pogba as well, like because I played with him for 4 years in the French national team, and for his age, he was so mature. And I think he was one of the best I played with.
Ousmane Dembele is now like at PSG one of
He's finding
one of the best players in the world this season.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you think he's become the man now instead of being the backup to the man?
Yeah, definitely. I think
that's
Ousmane, he grew up. He's more mature now. Obviously, people wanted him to score goals, and I think he did brilliantly so far.
Yeah.
And I think he's the main man there now.
Best player you've played directly against?
Directly against. So there's a couple of players.
Yeah. Because in midfield you get everything.
That's the thing. I remember, when I think about this, I think about Man City.
Yeah.
Man City midfield, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, David Silva at that time.
My favourite player, by the way, David Silva.
Are they the hardest players to like the tight, little, nimble?
You can't. To be honest, you can't get the ball of them. You know what I mean? They're so clever. They always find the good pass, the good positioning. When they receive the ball, it's too late. And this is the difference. You know.
I always think that, like when you use such like Eden Hazard, for example, like, you cannot knock him off the ball.
It's impossible. They just do what they want to do. To be honest, it's so good.
Is there a player that you've not maybe played directly against in midfield, but you've like watched and like had the chance to just stand there and go, wow, like over?
I love Iniesta, to be honest. When I played in Spain, Iniesta was such a good player, very, very, very humble as well as a person, and a fantastic player.
Yeah. Best moment of your career?
I would say the goal against Bournemouth with Everton. I think this one was the best moment of my career because of the importance of the goal, because of everything else. I think it was the best moment.
Biggest role model or sporting inspiration?
I used to love Muhammad Ali. On football, I love Ronaldo, the Brazilian. This was my sport model. Like I love him. I love him.
One current player you'd like to play with?
One current player I was to play with. There's a couple of players. I like Mohamed Salah, to be honest.
Really?
I know he played for Liverpool.
Yeah.
People won't be happy, but as a player, I think currently he's one of the best.
Yeah. But one pass player?
One pass player, Zidane.
Zidane.
Zidane. You know, he's a dream player. For a midfielder, when you have a number 10 like this, he's just a dream to play.
Have you ever met him?
I met him like 1 or 2 times, to be honest. Yeah.
He just seems like...
He's just very humble, very calm. And you can see
He's similar to Carlo.
Kind of thing. Yeah, he doesn't talk a lot. And
he has a lot
just
of respect
like,
for him.
Respectful, you know. You can just see on him, like, you know, just the serenity on him is just crazy.
Yeah. And then last but not least, the funniest player you've played with.
The funniest players... There's a few
because you've played with like a lot of like funny guys. Like, guys.
I will say I like Nordin Amrabat, you know.
Oh really?
Oh, yeah, that's a great shout.
Nordin, he just signed for Hull. I see him last week. He came to Manchester. I see him, and so funny, you know. So funny.
Yeah.
So
I thought you was going to say Richarlison.
Richarlison was funny, but I didn't understand all this. You know, his English was not
like,
great.
You're laughing at him.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
Because we're coming with shorts and in winter. I was thinking, what are you doing? You know, it's just funny. Just funny.
No, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. It's been brilliant.
A pleasure.
Thank you very
so
much.